Help us change the culture by buying our latest single from Timcast Records, Only Ever Wanted, by clicking the link in the description below. From the post-millennial, vote Republican, Joe Rogan, on how Americans can protect your freedom. Well, everybody knows that Dr. Joe Rogan is who you go to for your political and medical advice. I'm joking, by the way. Calm down, YouTube. And here's what happened. Joe Rogan and Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers got into the harms of COVID policies in a recent episode of The Experience, and Rogan took the opportunity to blast Democrats and give a boost to Republicans. Vote Republican, he said in response to Rodgers' question about what Americans should do about it. Quote, "No one who was alive today had ever experienced a true pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that this is over, people are going to, recognize that some serious errors were made and not repeat those. That's the best you can get out of it." So what do you tell those people? Rodgers said. Vote Republican, Rogan said. Rodgers chuckled. That's what a lot of them are going to do anyway. Wow. More than 1 million people transferred over to the Republican Party, I think, in 2021 alone. But you look at guys like Ron DeSantis, who kept Florida open and had some pretty reasonable policies in terms of what to do about COVID. And, he mapped it out on television, full stop. DeSantis did not keep it completely open. They did shut down, but eventually faster than many others did reopen. There were a bunch of red states that never locked down. Kristi Noem, for instance, they threw a parade for her. Mm-hmm. He was widely criticized for this, where he was saying, we need to protect our elders. We need to make sure that medical care is available for those people, and everyone else should be able to do whatever you want to do and protect your freedom. Now, this is the crazy thing. Joe has taken the bold step of laughing and telling people to vote Republican. He's often said he was a liberal. He's defended all of that. He's like, people call me right wing, but I'm a liberal. And he is. He's in favor of universal basic income. Now he's telling people to vote Republican.
But I feel like it's not even an endorsement of the Republican Party. I feel like the Overton window has shifted so far left that it's almost like a rejection and vote against the people that are going so far liberal. I don't think it's a typical endorsement of the party as a whole. Yeah,
there was this graph that we showed a long time ago where it's like where the political parties are, and they created this spectrum where it was economic left and right, and I think social justice left and right. The Democrats were all extremely hyper concentrated in racial and economic socialist policy, and the Republicans were spread out away from the social justice stuff, but varying from socialist all the way to laissez-faire capitalist. Mm-hmm. That was crazy.
You got to be careful about calling leftism liberalism as well, because there is an idea of liberalism is you want to be free and open with ideas and let kids kind of explore the world. But sexualizing children is not, I don't think that's liberty. I don't think that that's doing justice to children. It can warp them in their later years.
This is I think on par with what Majid Nawaz refers to as up and down or something. Does he call it up and down?
I think so, like the axes.
Yeah, because he talks about how maybe he doesn't say up and down, but he talks about how religious zealotry is not left or right. It's something different. And if you've got people who have a cult ideology that doesn't really fit into any of these political political sections or segments, then we got to acknowledge that it's not liberal, it's not left. Like Jacobin, for instance, they're socialists, they're leftists, but they're pro-free speech. They rag on the FBI all the time. They rag on the Democrats, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can respect that, I guess. I don't agree with the socialism part, though.
So I think Rogan's, in the context of these statements, he's talking about the pandemic, right? He's talking about the way that COVID was handled, and I think a lot of people are just fed up, and they see through just exactly everything at this point. Take a look at Fauci's riding off into the sunset in December, apparently. They're shifting gears and shifting the simulation. Politico is putting out articles literally changing the narrative, blaming the vaccine rollout on Trump now. So all the negative effects and all that will be blamed on President Trump coming forward. Dr. Birx is coming out and saying, oh, we knew the whole time they weren't effective. They're saying this. The CDC coming out and saying the same thing. There was the CNN, I don't know, she was some kind of medical something that was huge on masks.
Leanna Wen?
Yeah, she was huge on. Now she's come out and said that. Now she's come out and said the masks damaged my own child. So I think people get exhausted at some point. It goes beyond politics. It's I'm being driven in this direction. I'm being driven in that direction. CNN keeps telling me this. Okay, now they're changing their mind, and it's just this constant just exhaustion of the mind where the cult begins to push you. And I think the people that are waking up are just getting fed up.
It's got to break down at some point, right?
This is it.
Someone posted a meme, and it was just it was Janine Garofalo's quote, I think it was, and it said something like, if you vote, the only way someone can become a Republican is if there's something wrong with them. You can't be an open-minded, thinking individual and vote Republican or something like that. And I'm like, that's not an argument about anything. Like, you're literally being like, the Republican bad. Like, you didn't say that. Tell me why they're mad and why you think they're wrong to be mad. But that idea, I'm like, if that's what, I don't know if that quote is actually from her, it was a meme, right? But this idea is laughable that people would share it. Like, you've fallen for every major hoax that's happened. Every single one. If there's one thing that gives me that gives me hope, that keeps me white-pilled, and reassures me that we are on the correct side, is that we've not fallen for all of these hoaxes. Maybe once or twice we were like, hey, what's that all about? And then it comes out, we're like, oh, okay, that was a hoax. But the left and liberals, every single hoax, every time. And you know what it is? I think a lot of it they want to fall for. They wanted Jussie Smollett's story to be true. It was great.
Right.
But it was just so glaringly obvious the dude was making up nonsense. Anybody with a brain. So at what point do the cult leaders lose that ability to convince ignorant people that these hoaxes are real? At what point do the masses just say, like, dude, you've lied every single time. I'm over it.
I have some friends on Facebook from Los Angeles back when I was doing a lot of theater. You consider them liberal, I guess. I don't know. But we were talking about the student loans and like, where's the money coming from? And some people I heard that it was going to be, they were just going to charge it off to the loan companies. I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm like, look, Peter Ducey questions the spokes. What's her title?
Karine, the press secretary.
That's her. The press secretary. Where's the money coming from? She dodges the question 3 times in the interview.
I love how nobody knows her name.
And so when I
She's
know, I
so
can't even.
forgettable.
Karine Jean-Pierre?
Yeah.
Karine, yeah.
Karine?
Karine Jean-Pierre.
And
Yeah,
I post the
Jean-Pierre.
video to my friends in this liberal chat, wherever you were mostly, and everyone's just like silent in awe at realizing that they're snowballing the American people. They're going to end up charging people tax money to pay for their own loans ahead of time. So it's like an accelerated repayment to Sally Mae. Like, that's unconscionable, and I cannot imagine that'll pass. If Biden's proposing it, shoot it down, because that is not, you don't make us pay our own loans back early. That doesn't do anybody any justice.
Like, I don't understand like the rejection of like knowing how things are going to play out. Like, everybody should have a house, right? Everybody should have a meal. Everybody should have their loans forgiven, but like, it doesn't work. It's not pragmatic. Like, why are they so Why are they so stuck to these fantasies?
I think they actually want the opposite. And I don't mean the average person. I think the average liberal or Democrat or leftist, they genuinely want people to have these things, but they're easily led astray. If you look at capitalism, people have air conditioners, people have refrigerators, people have clean running water, people have nicer and nicer things. Now we got people sitting down with widescreen. You can get a like 75-inch TV for like $500.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. You go to Best Buy, it's like everybody's got one. Yeah, capitalism is making everybody very, very wealthy. But you know what I think? I think a lot of the higher profile people don't like that. You will own nothing and you will be happy. They're looking at the overconsumption. They don't want everyone to live in luxury. They think that causes problems, that causes climate change. So what are they saying? They want to get rid of the airlines. Surprise, surprise, the airlines are like spiraling out of control with mass retirements and cancellations. They're getting what they want. They don't want regular people to be able to do these things. And here's what it boils down to. They're always ragging on, you see them ragging like Jeff Bezos has a $130 million yacht or whatever. But what they really, what these powerful elites, these climate change people, and this is not an indictment this is not support or opposition to the idea of climate change. They want you all to stop having access to vehicles, to gasoline, to cheap food, so that they can keep access to all those things. If you aren't allowed to fly, then they don't have to worry about when they fly because their contribution to climate change is minimal. You see them all flying in private jets. All the private jets flew to Europe for the climate change conference. You know what they're really saying? What they're speaking words, right? But the real thing they're saying is, how can we take it all away from the working class people so that we can keep it?
Right.
And I think it's foolish to believe that tyranny somehow just disappears out of planet Earth or out of society or out of mankind, right? It's like it never leaves. There's always going to be like an entity of tyranny somewhere on the globe, wherever you look. And I think if Americans literally believe that, like, if you're sitting there saying, that could never happen to America, like you've lost your mind. Like, you're losing. You have a losing mindset, whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right. Like, even if you're someone that's like I love my right-wing politician, and that person is just always gonna, come through and save everything. It's like you could never let your guard down and put yourself mentally in a position where you're just like gonna be free sailing for the rest of your life. I mean, obviously we all want that, but to think that tyranny is just somehow just gonna, disappear and it's never gonna pop its head up, that's just a literally naive, way of thinking, in my opinion.
The independent media, moderates, libertarians, conservatives, whatever this faction is. I don't like saying the right because not everybody is, but we need something like, there's this app called Thunderclap where what you would do is you would sign up for it. You'd click a button and then it would be like, do you accept the terms? And if you put yes, on the same day, at the same time, everyone who agreed would tweet out. It would take your Twitter account and tweet out the exact same message, causing an instant trend. It was called Thunderclap. There needs to be something like this to help people organize. The left has institutions that help them organize and remain organized. The right and the liberty-minded people need something similar so that you can very easily direct some kind of action on things. Because right now it's so fractured and just across the board, and that's difficult. When you're an individualist, of course, you're not going to be as organized as a cult.
Yeah. I had an interesting interaction the other day. I don't know the name of the company, but where I live, they want to install all of this remote access to like your thermostat and to your air in your house, and even to the point of like getting into your gated community. Like it's all access through your phone. And like they approached me and they're like, hey, you need to sign this paper so we can come in and have your consent to remote access your thermostat, to remote access data in your phone, to have all the data from your phone that we can collect for this company so that we can have that on a daily basis. Like I'm sitting there and like, she's like expecting me to be stupid. She's like, oh, you just need to sign it. It's going to be convenient because then you'll be able to just access, the gated community with your phone, the thermostat, you can access it from your home. And it's like, it's an entire smart home. Right. And I'm like, it was interesting because I'm sitting there, I'm reading the contract before I assign my name on the line. And the first thing it says is you are giving consent to the provider and to the owner, right, to have remote access to all of this technology out of your phone. And then it gets even worse. And it's like you are also giving consent to give third-party data that we compile on your phone directly. It doesn't even explain what data. And I'm sitting there reading this and like, I'm like, hey, I'm not signing this. I was like, what kind of data? Like, what are you guys talking about here? You're going to have remote access to my thermostat? I can't say where I live, but I'm pretty sure people will find out where it is. But like, I'm not, that's how they take it away. And it's like, this was the interesting part, Tim, because when I started like saying that and pushing back and asking questions, she came in and she was like, yeah, the lawyers told us that, if there are people that think it's kind of weird and they push back, they told me to just let them know. And I'm like, so if I don't sign this, am I going to get kicked out where I'm living? She's like, no, it's fine. We just wanted to see how many signatures we could get.
Wow.
Well, they already started doing this at my apartment. I came back one day and they replaced my key lock with one of those touchpads so that they can get in at any time and look at the apartment. And, I'm sure I already signed it away when I first signed. But I think this points to the bigger cultural phenomenon that we've been sold on this society of convenience.
Yeah.
And it's a lie. It's a total hoax, right? That if you get something more convenient, that you're going to be happier. And this has been happening forever, right? We went from the fax machine to the email or the horse buggy to the car and all these modes of communication and transportation that are supposed to make our lives better and more convenient. Are we any less stressed? Are we any less anxious? Are we any less busy? So people already know, and they've already seen that we will sell our freedoms for convenience. So why not push it a little bit further? Why not put a microchip in your body, and that'll help you read your own body levels better and your blood level. And they talked about this at the World Economic Forum.
It's not just that, but it goes the other way too. There's a video of a guy in like the early 1900s, and he was around during the Civil War. He was a really, really old man. And they asked him at the time, like, how do you feel about how technology has changed from when you were a kid till now? Because in their minds, like the automobile, wow, how crazy, from back when the Civil War. And he said, oh, it's the same. It's all the same. People were happy. People are happy then. People are happy now. People had to get stuff. They're stressed then. They're stressed now. It was things like that. And, I think about that. We look at the technology we have right now and act like everything's so great. But in 50 years, maybe we will have hover packs and flying cars and teleportation or who knows what. We're not stressed out that we can't teleport right now. We're not sitting here being like, I can't teleport. Life sucks.
Maybe when you're in traffic on the freeway.
Maybe. But what I mean is people who lived in the 1700s were satisfied with the level of technology they had. It was all they knew. And as things got better, people adapted to those better things. That's what the World Economic Forum sees. Mm-hmm. They see that people in 1850, they were happy. They didn't need air conditioning. Sure, there was sadness. People had died of you stub your toe and get an infection and die. But nowadays, people have become so spoiled and egotistical. And the example I'll give is healthcare. There are people saying healthcare is a human right. And my immediate logical, rebuttal is, if the technology doesn't exist to cure someone, is it your right? The answer is no. But then if the technology gets invented and one cure is made because it was just invented, who has that right to it?
Right.
Technology. So this is the issue. The World Economic Forum sees that human beings can be happy with things being taken away from them, and that's their goal. Put everybody back down to the early 1900s, 1800s level of technology. They'll adapt to it, they'll adhere, and they'll be happy, and then we'll sit atop Elysium with our flying cars.
Yeah, while they continue to innovate, move forward, and control.
There's a level of convenience you're mentioning where they're replacing your locks on your door so that they can get access. It would be convenient if someone slipped into my shower and washed my back for me and my armpits, but
Right.
I'm not
No
into it.
thanks.
I don't need it. Thanks. No, don't need that level of convenience. Stay
Yeah,
out.
but it's
my house.
if you look at these excerpts from books or whatever, articles from 50, 100 years ago, and they ask people, what do you think the technology is going to be like in 100 years? They do talk about flying cars and hover pads, but it goes to what you were saying that, the elite are going to have that. The elite can have access to that, but it's not for the masses, right? The masses get the Bluetooth toaster and the fridge that talks to you. It's like, why do I need a fridge that talks to me? But people like it, and the masses are sold on that.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.